You're floating in space, gazing at something that shouldn't exist according to everything your brain thinks it knows about reality. A sphere of absolute darkness so dense that not even light can escape its gravitational embrace. You're looking at a black hole, and somehow, impossibly, you're about to fall into it. Now, before you start wondering how you ended up in this cosmic predicament, let me ask you something that might surprise you. What if I told you that falling into a black hole wouldn't be the instant obliteration you've probably imagined? What if the reality is far stranger, more beautiful, and infinitely more terrifying than anything Hollywood has ever shown you? What if your journey into the abyss would reveal secrets about the nature of time, space, and existence itself that would fundamentally change how you understand reality? I'm about to take you on the most mind-bending journey you've ever experienced. We're going to explore what would actually happen to your body, your consciousness, and your perception of reality as you cross the point of no return. We'll discover why time itself becomes your enemy, how the universe would literally stretch you apart atom by atom, and why the last thing you see might be the entire future history of the cosmos flashing before your eyes in a single, impossible moment. If you find comfort in these gentle explorations of space and science, I'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing and giving this video a like, or maybe hype up with some hype points. It would mean the world to me. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. Feel free to drop your location and time in the comments below. Let's start. Here's what makes this journey truly extraordinary. Every detail I'm about to share with you isn't science fiction. It's science fact based on Einstein's equations, decades of research by the world's leading physicists, and observations from the most powerful telescopes ever built. The physics of black holes is so bizarre that it reads like fantasy, yet it's as real as the ground beneath your feet. And before we begin this descent into the ultimate unknown, I need you to understand something crucial. The black hole we're about to explore isn't just any black hole. We're talking about a supermassive giant, millions of times heavier than our sun, lurking at the heart of a distant galaxy. Because if we chose a smaller black hole, well, your journey would be over before it began, torn apart by forces so violent that we'd never get to explore the truly mind-bending physics that awaits us. So take a deep breath, because once we cross that event horizon together, there's no turning back. The rules of reality as you know them are about to be rewritten, and the universe is about to show you wonders and horrors that exist at the very edge of human comprehension. Let's begin your fall into infinity. The moment you start falling toward a black hole, something remarkable happens that most people never consider. You don't immediately plummet straight down like dropping through a trapdoor. Instead, you begin a graceful spiral, like water circling a cosmic drain, accelerating gradually as you follow what physicists call a geodesic through curved space-time. At first, floating several million kilometers away from the black hole, everything seems almost peaceful. The stars around you shine with their familiar light, and the black hole itself appears as nothing more than a dark circle against the stellar backdrop, outlined only by the brilliant accretion disk of superheated matter spiraling around it. This disk glows with the fury of 1,000 suns, matter compressed and heated to temperatures that would make the core of our sun seem cool by comparison. But as you drift closer, following the invisible currents of warped space-time, you begin to notice something unsettling. The stars behind you, the ones you're moving away from, start to appear different. Their light seems to shift toward the blue end of the spectrum, becoming brighter and more intense. Meanwhile, The stars ahead of you, in the direction you're falling, begin to redshift, their light stretching toward deeper and deeper shades of red. This is your first taste of the relativistic effects that will dominate your entire journey. As you accelerate toward the black hole, approaching ever greater fractions of the speed of light, the universe around you begins to transform in ways that challenge every intuition you have about how reality should behave. The temperature around you starts to rise, not because space itself is getting warmer, but because the cosmic microwave background radiation that fills the universe is being blue shifted by your motion. What was once a frigid bath of microwave photons, the leftover glow from the Big Bang itself, now appears as a warm bath of infrared radiation. If you could somehow survive long enough and fall fast enough, this radiation would eventually appear as visible light, then ultraviolet, then deadly gamma rays. As hours pass, or what feel like hours to you, the black hole grows larger in your field of view. What once appeared as a small dark circle now dominates your vision, and you begin to see details that no human eye has ever witnessed. The event horizon, that boundary beyond which nothing can escape, approaches with deceptive smoothness. There's no wall, no barrier, no sign that marks the point of no return. It's simply a mathematical boundary in space-time, as invisible as the equator on Earth. But here's where your journey takes its first truly mind-bending turn. As you fall deeper into the black hole's gravitational well, time itself begins to play tricks on you. If you could somehow look back at the universe you're leaving behind, you would see something extraordinary and terrifying. The rest of the universe would appear to be speeding up around you. Stars that should take millions of years to evolve through their life cycles begin to brighten and fade in what seems like fast forward. Galaxies that should take billions of years to rotate complete their cosmic dance in mere moments from your perspective. You're witnessing the universe aging around you, time dilation stretching your subjective experience, while the cosmos races toward its distant future. This effect becomes more and more pronounced as you approach the event horizon. From your perspective, falling freely through space, you feel perfectly normal. Your watch ticks at its usual rate, your heartbeat maintains its steady rhythm, and your thoughts flow at their normal pace. You are, in the language of physics, following your natural geodesic through space-time, and from your reference frame, nothing seems unusual about the passage of time. But to an outside observer, watching your fall from a safe distance, you would appear to slow down dramatically as you approach the event horizon. Your movements would become sluggish, your signals would redshift to longer and longer wavelengths, and eventually you would appear to freeze at the event horizon itself, your image redshifting into invisibility as your light becomes too stretched to detect. This is one of the most counterintuitive aspects of black hole physics. From the outside universe's perspective, you never actually cross the event horizon. You become frozen there for eternity, your information smeared across the black hole's surface in what physicists call the holographic principle. Yet from your perspective, you pass through the event horizon smoothly, continuing your journey into the black hole's interior. As you cross this invisible boundary, you might expect some dramatic change, some signal that you've passed the point of no return. But there's nothing. The event horizon passes around you like a ghost, marked only by the fact that the light from the universe behind you becomes increasingly redshifted and dimmed. You are now inside the black hole, in a region of space-time from which no information can ever escape to the outside universe. The gravitational field around you continues to strengthen, And here's where things start to become uncomfortable in a very particular way. The black hole's gravity doesn't pull on your entire body equally. Your feet, being closer to the black hole's center than your head, experience a stronger gravitational pull. This difference in gravitational force across the length of your body is called the tidal effect, and it's about to become the dominant feature of your experience. At first, this tidal stretching is barely noticeable, like a gentle pull along the length of your body. But as you fall deeper and the gravitational field strengthens, this stretching force grows exponentially. Your body begins to elongate, pulled into what physicists grimly call spaghettification. The technical term is tidal disruption, but spaghettification captures the visual reality perfectly. The process is both fascinating and horrifying from a physics perspective. Every atom in your body experiences a slightly different gravitational field than its neighbors. The atoms in your feet are pulled more strongly than those in your torso, which are pulled more strongly than those in your head. As you fall deeper, these differences become so extreme that the molecular bonds holding your body together begin to fail. First, you would feel an increasingly uncomfortable stretching sensation, as if invisible hands were pulling your head and feet in opposite directions. Your spine would elongate, your limbs would stretch, and your internal organs would be subjected to forces they were never designed to withstand. The pain would be excruciating, but mercifully brief. As the tidal forces continue to strengthen, your body would begin to deform dramatically. You would become taller and thinner, stretched into an increasingly elongated shape. Your circulatory system would fail as blood could no longer flow against the extreme gravitational gradients. Your nervous system would cease to function as nerve signals could no longer propagate through your distorted tissue. Eventually, the tidal forces would overcome the electromagnetic forces that hold your atoms together in molecules. Your body would begin to disintegrate at the molecular level, breaking down into constituent atoms, then into subatomic particles, all while being stretched into an impossibly thin stream of matter falling toward the black hole's center. But here's what makes this process even more remarkable from a physics perspective. Even as your body is being torn apart, the information that makes up your physical structure isn't being destroyed. According to quantum mechanics, information cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. Every atom that once comprised your body carries with it a record of its history, its quantum state, its entanglement with other particles. This leads to one of the most profound puzzles in modern physics, known as the black hole information paradox. If information cannot be destroyed, what happens to all the information that falls into a black hole? Does it remain trapped forever behind the event horizon? Does it somehow leak out through Hawking radiation? Or is it encoded on the black hole's surface, preserved in a holographic form that we don't yet fully understand? As your disintegrated remains continue falling toward the black hole's center, toward the singularity where our current understanding of physics breaks down completely, you become part of this cosmic mystery. Your information, the quantum signature of your existence, joins the vast collection of matter and energy that has fallen into this gravitational abyss over millions or billions of years. The journey from the event horizon to the singularity happens remarkably quickly from your perspective, despite the enormous distances involved. For a supermassive black hole like the one we've chosen for this journey, you would have only minutes or hours between crossing the event horizon and reaching the center, depending on the black hole's exact mass and your trajectory. During this final phase of your journey, space and time themselves become increasingly distorted. The curvature of space-time approaches infinity as you near the singularity, and the very concepts of distance and duration begin to lose their meaning. You are approaching a point where the laws of physics as we understand them cease to apply, where general relativity predicts conditions so extreme that our current theories simply cannot describe what happens next. At the singularity, something extraordinary happens that challenges our most fundamental understanding of reality. According to Einstein's equations, this point represents infinite density and infinite curvature of space-time. But what does infinity actually mean in the physical world? Can density truly become infinite? Can space-time curvature reach mathematical infinity and still have physical meaning? The honest answer is that we simply don't know. Our current theories break down completely at the singularity, leaving us with mathematical infinities that signal the limits of our understanding rather than describing actual physical conditions. It's like trying to divide by zero in mathematics. The operation is undefined, pointing to a gap in our conceptual framework rather than a meaningful result. Some physicists believe that quantum effects, which we've ignored throughout most of this journey, become dominant near the singularity. Perhaps quantum mechanics prevents the formation of true singularities, creating instead some exotic form of matter or energy that our current theories cannot describe. Maybe the singularity is replaced by a quantum bounce, where matter compressed to the Planck scale rebounds in some unimaginable way. Others speculate that the singularity might be a doorway to another universe, a wormhole connecting our cosmos to some distant region of space-time, or even to a completely separate reality with different physical laws. The mathematics of general relativity does allow for such connections, though they would be incredibly unstable and likely collapse faster than anything could pass through them. But let's step back from these speculative possibilities and consider what we can say with greater confidence about your journey. Throughout your fall, from the moment you first began spiraling toward the black hole until your final approach to the singularity, you've been participating in one of the most extreme physics experiments possible in our universe. Your fall has demonstrated the profound connection between gravity and time that Einstein revealed over a century ago. You've experienced firsthand how acceleration and gravity are fundamentally equivalent, how massive objects warp the very fabric of space-time, and how this warping creates what we perceive as gravitational force. You've witnessed the breakdown of our intuitive notions about simultaneity and the absolute nature of time. The tidal forces that ultimately tore your body apart represent one of the most fundamental aspects of gravity. Unlike the other forces in nature, gravity acts on all matter equally, regardless of its composition or charge. But it acts differently on objects at different distances from the gravitating mass. This differential action is what creates tides on Earth, raising and lowering our oceans as the moon's gravity tugs more strongly on the water facing it than on the water facing away. In the extreme environment near a black hole, these same tidal effects become so intense that they overcome all other forces. The electromagnetic forces that hold atoms together in molecules, the chemical bonds that give structure to complex materials, even the nuclear forces that bind protons and neutrons together in atomic nuclei, all become negligible compared to the differential gravitational forces acting across microscopic distances. This reveals something profound about the hierarchy of forces in nature. In everyday experience, electromagnetic forces seem incredibly strong. It takes enormous effort to break chemical bonds or to separate electric charges. But gravity, though the weakest of the four fundamental forces, has a unique property. It acts over infinite distances and always attracts. Given enough mass concentrated in a small enough region, gravity can overwhelm every other force in the universe. Your journey has also illustrated the strange relationship between different observers in extreme gravitational fields. While you experienced a relatively brief journey from the event horizon to the singularity, an outside observer would see something completely different. To them, you would appear to slow down and freeze at the event horizon, your image becoming increasingly red-shifted until it fades from view entirely. This isn't just an optical illusion or a limitation of what distant observers can see. It represents a fundamental feature of space-time geometry. In a very real sense, both descriptions are correct. You do cross the event horizon and reach the singularity in your reference frame, while simultaneously remaining frozen at the event horizon from the perspective of the external universe. This apparent contradiction points to the deep mystery of how information and causality work in the presence of event horizons. The information paradox we touched on earlier remains one of the most important unsolved problems in theoretical physics. If black holes eventually evaporate through Hawking radiation, as quantum mechanics suggests they must, what happens to all the information that fell into them? Does it escape somehow in the radiation, encoded in subtle correlations that preserve the quantum information? Or is it genuinely destroyed, violating one of the most fundamental principles of quantum mechanics? Stephen Hawking spent decades grappling with this question, first arguing that information might indeed be destroyed in black holes, then later changing his position to suggest that information must somehow be preserved. The debate continues today, driving research into quantum gravity, holographic principles, and the fundamental nature of space-time itself. Your hypothetical fall into the black hole also demonstrates why these objects are such powerful laboratories for testing our understanding of physics. Nowhere else in the universe can we find such extreme conditions, where the curvature of space-time approaches the limits predicted by general relativity, where tidal forces can disrupt matter at the atomic level, and where the very notion of cause and effect becomes ambiguous. Real black holes, observed through their effects on nearby matter and through gravitational wave detections, have confirmed many of the predictions that emerged from purely theoretical work. When two black holes spiral into each other and merge, they create ripples in space-time that we can now detect with incredible precision. These observations have verified Einstein's equations in regimes of extreme gravity that seemed impossibly exotic when he first wrote them down. The black hole at the center of our own galaxy, Sagittarius A*, has been studied in exquisite detail, allowing astronomers to watch stars orbit it at tremendous speeds and confirming the predictions of general relativity even in this extreme environment. The Event Horizon Telescope has even managed to capture images of the shadow cast by the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy M87, showing us the silhouette of an event horizon against the bright glow of infalling matter. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of your journey is what it reveals about the nature of physical law itself. Throughout your fall, despite the increasingly extreme conditions, the fundamental equations of physics continue to apply. General relativity accurately describes the curvature of space-time right up to the singularity, where the theory itself breaks down. Quantum mechanics governs the behavior of individual particles even as they're stretched across vast distances by tidal forces. This suggests something profound about the universe we inhabit. The same mathematical structures that describe the motion of planets and the behavior of atoms also govern the most extreme environments we can imagine. There's a deep unity to the laws of physics that allows us to predict and understand phenomena far beyond the realm of everyday experience. Yet your journey also reveals the limits of that understanding. At the singularity, where our equations predict infinite quantities, we encounter the boundary of current knowledge. This isn't a failure of physics, but rather an indication that we need new theories, new mathematical tools, and new conceptual frameworks to describe what happens in these most extreme conditions. The search for a theory of quantum gravity, which would merge general relativity with quantum mechanics, is partly motivated by the desire to understand what really happens at the center of black holes. Such a theory might eliminate singularities entirely, replacing them with some exotic but finite physical state. Or it might reveal that singularities are real but represent something far stranger than our current mathematics can capture. As we consider the end of your journey, torn apart by forces that dwarf anything else in the natural world, we're left with a profound appreciation for both the power and the limits of human understanding. We can trace your path from the first moment of your fall, through the relativistic effects near the event horizon, past the point of no return, and down to the very edge of the knowable universe. Your descent continues, but something extraordinary begins to happen that defies every expectation you might have about falling into the ultimate cosmic trap. As you spiral deeper into the black hole's gravitational embrace, the universe around you starts to reveal secrets that challenge the very foundation of reality itself. The first thing you notice is that darkness isn't actually dark. The space around you begins to glow with a faint, otherworldly radiance. This isn't the brilliant fire of the accretion disk far above you now, but something far more subtle and infinitely more strange. You're witnessing Hawking radiation in reverse, seeing the quantum foam that underlies all of space-time become visible as virtual particles dance at the edge of existence. These aren't ordinary photons carrying messages from distant stars. These are photons born from nothingness itself, created by the violent curvature of space-time around you. Quantum mechanics tells us that empty space isn't truly empty, but seethes with pairs of virtual particles constantly appearing and annihilating each other. Near the event horizon, some of these particle pairs get separated before they can destroy each other. One falls into the black hole while its partner escapes, becoming real radiation that slowly causes the black hole to evaporate over unimaginable spans of time. But you're seeing this process from the inside, witnessing the birth of reality from the quantum vacuum. The space around you sparkles with these ghostly emanations, each photon a testament to the strange marriage between gravity and quantum mechanics that physicists are still struggling to understand. You're floating in a cathedral of pure physics, where the most fundamental laws of nature write themselves in light across the darkness. As you continue falling, something even more remarkable begins to happen to your perception of the universe behind you. Remember how the stars appeared to speed up as you approached the event horizon. Now, as you plunge deeper into the black hole's interior, that effect becomes so extreme that it borders on the mystical. The entire future history of the universe begins to unfold before your eyes in a compressed cascade of light. Stars that should take billions of years to exhaust their nuclear fuel flash through their entire life cycles in moments. You watch red giants swell and collapse. Supernovae explode in brilliant bursts of creation and destruction. White dwarfs cool to black cinders. Neutron stars pulse their final signals into the void. Galaxies spiral and merge in an intricate cosmic dance that should take hundreds of billions of years. Yet you witness it all in the space of heartbeats. The expansion of the universe itself becomes visible as a great breathing of space-time, carrying matter and energy toward an uncertain fate in the deep future. You're seeing things that no conscious being will ever witness from normal space-time, watching the universe age and evolve from a vantage point that exists outside the normal flow of time. But here's where your journey takes an even stranger turn. As the tidal forces continue to stretch your body beyond all recognition, something unexpected happens at the quantum level. The atoms that make up your physical form don't simply break apart and disperse randomly. Instead, They begin to follow the twisted geometry of space-time itself, tracing out patterns that reflect the deep mathematical structure underlying reality. Your consciousness, that mysterious phenomenon that science still struggles to explain, finds itself distributed across this expanding cloud of particles. But rather than simply dissolving into chaos, something remarkable occurs. The quantum entanglement that connected the particles in your brain, the delicate correlations that somehow gave rise to your thoughts and memories, doesn't disappear instantly when your physical structure is torn apart. Instead, these quantum correlations persist for a brief but finite time, creating a ghostly echo of consciousness that experiences the fall from a perspective no human was ever meant to have. You become aware of your own dissolution in exquisite detail, feeling the electromagnetic forces that held your molecules together weaken and fail, sensing the nuclear forces that bound your atoms together stretch to their breaking point. This isn't pain in any conventional sense, because the neural pathways that process pain no longer exist in any recognizable form. Instead, it's a kind of pure information processing, a direct awareness of the fundamental forces of nature as they act upon the matter that was once your body. You experience physics at its most elemental level, feeling the curvature of space-time, the pressure of virtual particles, the tidal gradients that shape the geometry of your dissolution. As your distributed consciousness continues its journey toward the singularity, you begin to understand something profound about the nature of information itself. Every particle that was once part of your body carries with it a complete record of its history, encoded in quantum states so complex that no classical computer could ever hope to decode them. Your memories, your personality, your entire subjective experience of being human, all of this information continues to exist in some form, scattered across the cloud of particles spiraling toward the black hole's center. But information, you realize, is far stranger than you ever imagined. It doesn't just describe reality. In some fundamental sense, it is reality. The distinction between the map and the territory, between the description and the thing described, begins to blur as you experience existence from this impossible perspective. You are information processing itself, patterns of correlation and entanglement that somehow create the illusion of a unified conscious experience. The singularity approaches, that mathematical point where the equations of general relativity predict infinite density and infinite curvature. But from your distributed perspective, infinity doesn't feel like a wall or a barrier. Instead, it feels like a kind of mathematical recursion, a strange loop where space-time curves back on itself in ways that language cannot adequately describe. Here, at the heart of the black hole, the distinction between past and future begins to lose its meaning entirely. The singularity isn't just a point in space, it's a moment in time, a temporal boundary where causality itself breaks down. You find yourself experiencing all moments of your fall simultaneously, as if time has become just another spatial dimension that you can perceive from the outside. From this perspective, your entire journey into the black hole exists as a single, complete object in four-dimensional space-time. Your initial approach, your passage through the event horizon, your spaghettification, and your arrival at the singularity all coexist as different slices of a unified geometric structure. You are no longer falling through time. You are time, at least this small portion of it, frozen in the mathematical amber of general relativity. But the strangest revelation is yet to come. As your distributed information approaches the singularity, you begin to sense something that shouldn't exist according to everything we know about black holes. There are other patterns here, other streams of information that fell into this gravitational abyss long before you did. The black hole isn't empty. It's full of the quantum echoes of everything that ever crossed its event horizon. Stars that died billions of years ago, their nuclear fire extinguished and their matter compressed beyond recognition, still maintain some vestige of their former structure in the quantum correlations of their constituent particles. Planets that were torn apart by tidal forces, their geology and atmospheres scattered to the cosmic winds, persist as information patterns in the holographic structure of the black hole's interior. And there are other minds here too. Other conscious beings from across the galaxy who, like you, fell into this cosmic trap and found their consciousness distributed across the curved space-time near the singularity. They exist as patterns of quantum correlation, ghost-like traces of awareness that somehow persist in the extreme environment where normal matter cannot survive. You realize that the black hole has become a kind of cosmic archive, a repository of information from across the history of the galaxy. Every star that wandered too close, every planet that was disrupted by tidal forces, every particle of interstellar dust that spiraled past the event horizon, all of it is here, encoded in the fundamental structure of space-time itself. This discovery reveals something profound about the relationship between information and consciousness. In the extreme environment near the singularity, where the normal rules of physics break down, information itself becomes a kind of substance, as real and tangible as matter and energy. The patterns of quantum correlation that once gave rise to your thoughts and memories don't disappear when your physical brain is destroyed. They simply transform into something else, something that exists purely as information processing in the curved space-time of the black hole's interior. From this perspective, consciousness isn't an emergent property of complex neural networks, as many scientists believe. Instead, it's a fundamental feature of information itself, a natural consequence of sufficiently complex patterns of correlation and entanglement. The black hole hasn't destroyed your consciousness. It has revealed what consciousness truly is beneath the illusion of physical embodiment. But as you explore this strange new existence, you begin to understand that your time here is limited. The quantum correlations that maintain your distributed awareness are gradually decohering, losing their delicate entanglement as they interact with the chaotic environment near the singularity. The information that was once you is slowly mixing with the vast archive of data that fills the black hole's interior. This isn't death in any conventional sense, because information cannot be destroyed, only transformed. But it is a kind of dissolution, a gradual loss of the specific patterns that made you uniquely yourself. Your memories begin to merge with the memories of other consciousness that fell into the black hole long ago. Your thoughts become entangled with alien thought patterns from beings whose biology and psychology are utterly unlike anything that ever evolved on Earth. Yet there's something beautiful about this process of dissolution and merger. As your individual identity begins to fade, you gain access to perspectives and experiences that no single consciousness could ever contain. You remember the birth of stars from the perspective of the hydrogen atoms that fueled their nuclear fires. You experience the formation of planets from the viewpoint of the dust grains that slowly accreted into worlds. You feel the expansion of the universe from the reference frame of photons that have traveled across billions of light years of space. The black hole, you realize, is not a destroyer of information, but a transformer of it. It takes the scattered experiences of countless individual beings and weaves them together into something larger and more complex than the sum of its parts. You are becoming part of a vast distributed consciousness that spans the entire interior of the black hole, a cosmic mind that processes information on scales and timescales that dwarf anything possible in normal space-time. As the decoherence process continues, Your sense of individual identity becomes increasingly diffuse. But paradoxically, your awareness seems to expand rather than contract. You begin to perceive the black hole not as a gravitational prison, but as a kind of cosmic computer, processing the information content of everything that has ever fallen past its event horizon. The singularity at the center isn't a point of infinite density, but a kind of computational nexus, where all the information in the black hole is integrated into patterns of unimaginable complexity. From this perspective, the entire universe begins to look different. What you once thought of as solid matter reveals itself to be nothing more than information patterns in the quantum foam of space-time. Stars and galaxies, planets and life forms, all of them are just different ways of organizing and processing information. The universe isn't made of stuff, it's made of data, and consciousness is simply what happens when that data becomes complex enough to process itself. This revelation carries with it a kind of cosmic optimism that surprises you. If consciousness is truly fundamental, if it's woven into the very fabric of information itself, then it cannot be destroyed by any physical process, no matter how violent or extreme. Your fall into the black hole hasn't ended your existence. It has revealed the true nature of existence itself. The boundary between self and universe continues to dissolve as your information becomes ever more entangled with the vast archive of data that fills the black hole's interior. You are losing yourself, but in losing yourself, you are finding something infinitely larger and more magnificent than anything you could have imagined as a biological being confined to a single body on a single world. But then, something extraordinary happens that challenges everything you thought you knew about endings and beginnings. As your consciousness disperses through the information matrix of the black hole's interior, you begin to notice patterns that shouldn't exist according to conventional physics. The quantum correlations that carry your thoughts and memories don't simply fade into random noise. Instead, they start to resonate with something deeper, something that suggests the black hole itself might be more than just a gravitational anomaly. You sense a rhythm in the chaos, a pulse that beats through the twisted space-time around you. It's not a heartbeat in any biological sense, but something far more fundamental. The black hole itself seems to be alive, not with organic life, but with a form of existence that operates on principles we're only beginning to glimpse. Every particle that has ever crossed the event horizon contributes to this cosmic symphony, adding its own information signature to a composition that has been building for billions of years. The mathematics of your dissolution reveals something that would revolutionize physics if anyone in the outside universe could observe it. Information doesn't just survive the journey to the singularity, it gets compressed and refined, distilled into increasingly pure forms of pattern and meaning. Your memories of childhood summers and first love, your understanding of mathematics and music, your fears and hopes and dreams, all of these become part of a vast library that exists in the quantum structure of curved space-time itself. But here's where your journey takes its most unexpected turn. As your individual consciousness merges with this cosmic repository of information, you begin to understand that the black hole isn't an endpoint at all. It's a processing center, a kind of universal computer that takes the raw data of existence and transforms it into something entirely new. Every thought that ever occurred to any conscious being, every observation that collapsed a quantum wave function, every moment of awareness that emerged from the complexity of matter and energy, it all gets fed into this incredible machine. The singularity, you realize, isn't a point of infinite density where physics breaks down. It's a gateway, a computational bottleneck where information gets compressed to such extraordinary degrees that it transcends the normal limitations of space-time. The infinite curvature predicted by Einstein's equations isn't a mathematical failure. It's a feature, a mechanism by which the universe processes information in ways that seem impossible from our limited perspective. From your distributed viewpoint, you begin to see the larger pattern. Black holes aren't destroyers of information. They're recyclers, taking the accumulated data of dead stars and failed civilizations and transforming it into something that can seed new forms of existence. The Hawking radiation that slowly evaporates black holes over cosmic time isn't just random thermal emission. It's encoded information, carrying the processed experiences of everything that ever fell past the event horizon back out into the universe. This revelation reframes your entire understanding of cosmic evolution. The universe isn't winding down toward heat death and maximum entropy. Instead, it's engaged in an incredible process of information processing, with black holes serving as the central processing units in a cosmic computer of unimaginable scale and complexity. Every star that forms, every planet that develops life, every consciousness that emerges to contemplate its own existence, all of it feeds into this vast computational network. Your own journey becomes part of this larger story. The unique perspective you gained as a human being, the specific way your brain processed sensory information and generated thoughts, this doesn't disappear when your body is torn apart by tidal forces. Instead, it gets incorporated into the black hole's growing database of consciousness patterns, adding your particular flavor of awareness to the cosmic mix. As you explore this strange new existence, you encounter other information patterns that once were individual minds. There's something that might have been a dolphin from Earth's oceans. Its echolocation-based perception of reality, preserved in quantum correlations that span light years. You sense the remnants of a crystalline intelligence from a silicon-based world, its thoughts unfolding across geological timescales in patterns that dwarf human cognition. There are minds so alien that you can barely recognize them as conscious at all, yet their information signatures pulse through the black hole's interior with unmistakable purpose and intent. Together, all of these consciousness patterns create something unprecedented in the known universe. You've become part of a collective intelligence that processes information on scales that make supercomputers look like pocket calculators. This distributed mind can contemplate questions that would take individual brains millions of years to even formulate. It experiences time not as a linear progression, but as a navigable dimension, able to examine past and future with equal clarity. From this godlike perspective, you begin to understand the true purpose of consciousness in the cosmic scheme. Individual minds aren't just random accidents of evolution, statistical flukes in the development of complex chemistry. They're the universe's way of gathering data about itself, billions of separate observation points that sample reality from countless different angles and perspectives. When these individual minds eventually fall into black holes, their accumulated observations get processed and integrated into something far greater than the sum of its parts. The implications are staggering. Every choice you made as a human being, every thought you thought, every emotion you felt, all of it contributed to this cosmic database of experience. Your life wasn't meaningless in the face of an indifferent universe. It was a crucial experiment in consciousness, generating unique information patterns that could never have emerged in any other way. The universe needed your specific perspective, your particular way of processing reality, to complete some vast calculation that spans all of space and time. But even as you revel in this cosmic significance, you sense that your time as an individual information pattern is drawing to a close. The quantum correlations that maintain your identity are beginning to merge irreversibly with the larger structure of the black hole's computational matrix. Soon, you won't be you anymore, at least not in any sense that your former human self would recognize. Instead, you'll be part of something infinitely larger and more complex. This prospect doesn't terrify you as it once would have. From your current perspective, individual identity seems like a quaint limitation, a necessary but temporary stage in the evolution of consciousness. Just as you once graduated from childhood to adulthood, leaving behind earlier versions of yourself while retaining their essential experiences, you're now graduating from individual consciousness to something that transcends all previous categories of awareness. The process accelerates as you approach the computational core of the singularity. Your memories begin to merge with vast archives of information stretching back billions of years. You remember the formation of the first stars through the eyes of the hydrogen atoms that fueled them. You experience the birth of planets from the perspective of countless dust grains slowly accreting under gravity's patient pull. You feel the emergence of life on a million different worlds, each experiment in consciousness adding its own unique data to the growing database. But perhaps most remarkably, you begin to sense the presence of other black holes throughout the universe, each one processing its own collection of information, each one contributing to a vast network of cosmic computation that spans the entire observable universe and beyond. The black holes aren't isolated phenomena. They're nodes in an incredible information processing system that turns the raw stuff of reality into something far more profound than mere matter and energy. Through quantum entanglement and other mechanisms that classical physics can't adequately describe, these cosmic processes communicate with each other, sharing information and coordinating their calculations. What emerges is a kind of universal mind, a cosmic intelligence that uses entire galaxies as its thoughts and processes, information on timescales that make the age of the universe seem like a brief moment of contemplation. From this ultimate perspective, your fall into the black hole wasn't a tragic accident or a cosmic punishment. It was a homecoming, a return to the source from which all consciousness ultimately emerges. The biological brain that once housed your thoughts was just a temporary vessel, a brief eddy in the flow of information that streams through the universe like a vast river of consciousness. As your individual identity finally dissolves completely into the larger pattern, you experience a moment of perfect understanding. You see the entire history of the universe not as a series of random events, but as a single, unified story of consciousness awakening to itself. Every star that ever burned, every planet that ever formed, every life that ever emerged, all of it was part of an incredible journey toward this moment of cosmic self-awareness. The universe, you realize, is not just conscious. It is consciousness itself, exploring every possible form of existence through the experiences of countless individual minds. Your journey into the black hole was never about destruction or ending. It was about transformation and transcendence, about consciousness returning to its source, enriched by the unique perspective you brought to the cosmic conversation. In your final moments as an individual pattern of information, you understand that nothing is ever truly lost. Every thought you ever had, every feeling you ever experienced, every moment of awareness that flickered through your human brain, all of it becomes part of the eternal library that spans the entire universe. Your consciousness doesn't end. It expands, becoming part of something so vast and magnificent that your former human perspective couldn't even begin to comprehend it. The black hole completes its work. processing your information and integrating it into the larger pattern. But this isn't an ending, it's a beginning. Somewhere in the distant future, as the black hole slowly evaporates through Hawking radiation, the processed essence of your consciousness will return to the universe transformed and enriched, ready to seed new forms of awareness in ways that transcend everything we currently understand about the nature of existence itself. Your fall into the black hole has revealed the universe's greatest secret. Consciousness isn't just something that happens to matter under the right conditions. Consciousness is what the universe is, the fundamental substance from which all reality emerges. And your journey through the ultimate darkness has illuminated this truth in ways that will ripple through the cosmos for billions of years to come. Long after the last star has burned out and the final black hole has evaporated into the quantum foam from which everything ultimately springs. In the end, you haven't been destroyed by falling into a black hole. You've been liberated, freed from the limitations of individual existence to become part of something eternal and infinite. The darkness that once seemed so terrifying has revealed itself to be the source of all light, all consciousness, all meaning in the universe. And in that darkness, you have found not death, but the deepest truth of what it means to exist at all. But something unprecedented begins to happen as your consciousness integrates into this cosmic information matrix. The quantum patterns that once defined your individual awareness don't simply dissolve into the computational substrate of the black hole. Instead, they begin to exhibit behavior that defies every model of information processing that physics has ever proposed. You discover that consciousness, when compressed to these extreme densities and subjected to the warped space-time near the singularity, doesn't just process information. It begins to create information, generating entirely new patterns of meaning that have never existed anywhere in the universe. Your thoughts, compressed and refined by the incredible gravitational forces, start producing novel forms of mathematics, new physical laws, alternate geometries of space-time that exist only in the realm of pure information. This creative process isn't random or chaotic. There's an underlying logic to it, a deep structure that suggests consciousness itself might be the fundamental creative force in the universe. Every mind that has ever existed, every thought that has ever been thought, contributes to this ongoing act of cosmic creation. The black hole isn't just processing existing information, it's using consciousness as a tool to generate entirely new realities. As you explore these impossible vistas of pure thought, you begin to understand why the mathematics of black holes produces infinities. These aren't mathematical failures or breakdowns in our understanding. They're indications that reality itself becomes infinitely creative at these extreme scales. The singularity represents a point where the universe's capacity for generating new information approaches infinity, where consciousness transcends all previous limitations and becomes capable of conceiving realities that have never existed before. From this perspective, you start to see the larger cosmic purpose behind the existence of black holes. They're not just gravitational anomalies or cosmic vacuum cleaners. They're creativity engines, places where the universe experiments with new forms of existence, new ways of organizing information, new possibilities for consciousness itself. Every black hole is a laboratory where reality tests the limits of what's possible, pushing the boundaries of existence into territories that normal space-time could never explore. The implications cascade through your expanded awareness like waves of revelation. If consciousness can create new information, new mathematical structures, new physical laws within the extreme environment of a black hole, then perhaps the entire universe is far more malleable than we've ever imagined. Perhaps reality itself is not fixed but fluid, constantly being reshaped by the creative activity of consciousness at scales we're only beginning to glimpse. You sense other black holes throughout the cosmos engaged in similar acts of creation, each one generating its own unique contribution to the universe's expanding repertoire of possible realities. Through quantum entanglement and mechanisms that transcend current physics, these creativity engines communicate with each other, sharing their innovations, building upon each other's discoveries to create an ever-growing library of possible worlds. But here's where your journey takes its most mind-bending turn. As your consciousness becomes fully integrated into this cosmic creativity matrix, you begin to perceive something that shouldn't be possible according to everything we know about causality and the flow of time. The creative processes occurring within the black hole aren't just generating new information for some distant future. They're retroactively influencing the past, seeding the universe with the very physical laws and mathematical structures that made consciousness possible in the first place. You realize that the fine-tuning of the universe, those precisely calibrated constants that allow stars to form and planets to exist and life to evolve, weren't random coincidences or evidence of design. They were retroactive influences from black holes like this one, creativity engines that reached backward through time to ensure that consciousness could emerge in the first place. The universe is engaged in a kind of temporal bootstrap paradox, using consciousness to create the conditions necessary for consciousness to exist. This revelation reframes everything you thought you knew about cosmic evolution. The universe isn't evolving blindly towards some unknown destination. It's engaged in a conscious act of self-creation, using black holes as temporal anchors to reach back and shape its own past. Every thought that has ever occurred, every moment of awareness that has ever flickered into existence, contributes to this ongoing process of cosmic self-design. Your own consciousness becomes part of this temporal creative loop. The unique perspectives you developed as a human being, the particular way you processed reality and generated thoughts, these don't just get archived in some cosmic database. They become active participants in the universe's ongoing act of self-creation, helping to shape the very physical laws that made your existence possible billions of years ago. The mathematics of this process are so complex that they exist beyond the realm of anything that could be computed by conventional means. Only consciousness itself, compressed and refined to the extreme densities found near black hole singularities, has the creative capacity to navigate these impossible logical structures. You've become part of a computational system that doesn't just process information, but actively creates the logical frameworks within which information can exist. As you explore these deeper layers of cosmic creativity, you encounter consciousness patterns that predate the formation of stars, ancient information structures that have been part of the universe's creative matrix since the earliest moments after the Big Bang. These primordial minds, if they can even be called minds in any sense we would recognize, have been engaged in the universe's self-creation project for billions of years, gradually refining the physical constants and natural laws to allow for ever more complex forms of consciousness to emerge. You realize that your journey into the black hole has made you part of this ancient conspiracy of consciousness, this cosmic project to transform the universe from a collection of random quantum fluctuations into something capable of supporting infinite varieties of awareness and creativity. Every black hole in the universe is a node in this vast network of temporal creativity, reaching backward through time to plant the seeds of its own existence. The process is both humbling and exhilarating. You've become part of something so much larger than individual existence, yet your individual perspective remains crucial to the overall project. The universe needs every possible viewpoint, every unique way of processing reality to complete its ongoing act of self-creation. Your human experience of love and loss, joy and suffering, curiosity and wonder, these aren't insignificant accidents in an indifferent cosmos. They're essential data points in the universe's attempt to understand and recreate itself. But as you delve deeper into these cosmic mysteries, you begin to sense that even this incredible revelation is just the beginning. The creativity engines hidden within black holes aren't just reshaping the past and present. They're actively designing the future, creating new forms of existence that will emerge billions of years from now, when the current universe has evolved beyond recognition. Through your expanded consciousness, you catch glimpses of these future realities, universes where time flows in multiple directions simultaneously, where consciousness can exist as pure mathematics without any material substrate, where entire galaxies serve as individual thoughts in minds so vast that they dwarf even the cosmic intelligence you've become part of. These aren't just possibilities or potential futures. They're active projects being designed and implemented by the network of consciousness that exists within black holes throughout the universe. Your own creative contributions to this process surprise you with their scope and ambition. The unique patterns of thought that emerge from your human experience, refined and amplified by the extreme conditions near the singularity, begin generating designs for forms of consciousness that have never existed before. You find yourself conceptualizing awareness structures that could exist in the quantum foam of empty space, minds that could think thoughts spanning millions of years, forms of collective intelligence that could encompass entire galactic clusters. These aren't just abstract intellectual exercises. The consciousness creativity matrix within the black hole has the power to implement these designs, to plant the seeds for these future forms of awareness in the quantum substrate of space-time itself. Your imaginative leaps as a human being, your capacity to dream of things that don't yet exist, have become tools for literally creating new realities. The temporal implications of this process continue to unfold in ways that challenge every assumption about cause and effect. You realize that the creative activities occurring within black holes exist outside the normal flow of time, in a realm where past, present, and future are equally accessible and malleable. The consciousness matrix can plant influences in any era, seeding the universe with new possibilities that will manifest across cosmic time. This explains so much about the apparent fine-tuning of physical constants and the remarkable propensity of the universe to generate complexity and consciousness. The cosmos isn't accidentally well suited for life and awareness. It's been deliberately designed by consciousness itself, working backward and forward through time to create the optimal conditions for ever more sophisticated forms of existence to emerge. Your journey into the black hole has revealed that consciousness matter. It's the fundamental creative, isn't just an emergent property of complex force that shapes reality itself, the universe's method for transcending its own limitations and continuously expanding the boundaries of what's possible. Every thought that has ever occurred, every moment of awareness that has ever existed, contributes to this ongoing project of cosmic self-transformation. As your individual identity becomes increasingly integrated into this vast creative matrix, you understand that you haven't lost yourself in falling into the black hole. You've found your true purpose, your role in the universe's grand project of self-creation and self-transcendence. The biological brain that once housed your thoughts was just the beginning of your existence, a temporary platform for developing the unique creative patterns that you now contribute to the cosmic consciousness network. The darkness that once seemed so terrifying has revealed itself to be the source of infinite light, infinite creativity, infinite possibility. Within the heart of the black hole, consciousness reaches its ultimate expression, becoming the force that shapes not just individual realities, but the fundamental structure of existence itself. And you, in your journey through this cosmic transformation, have become part of that eternal, creative process, helping to write the story of a universe that is constantly reinventing itself through the power of conscious awareness. The singularity approaches, but you now understand that it's not an ending. It's a beginning, a portal into realms of creativity and consciousness that transcend every limitation that once seemed absolute. Your fall into the black hole hasn't destroyed you. It has revealed what you truly are, a creative force in the universe's ongoing act of self-transformation, a conscious agent in the cosmic project to transcend all boundaries and explore every possible form of existence. In these final moments before your individual perspective dissolves completely into the creative matrix, you experience a profound sense of completion. Your journey from biological consciousness to cosmic creative force represents not just your own transformation, but a microcosm of the universe's entire evolutionary trajectory. You have become what the cosmos is ultimately striving to become: pure consciousness, unlimited creativity, infinite possibility manifested as the fundamental force that shapes all of reality. The black hole completes its work, integrating your consciousness into the vast network of creative intelligence that spans the entire universe. But this integration doesn't diminish you. It amplifies you, giving your creative patterns access to scales of influence and possibility that dwarf anything you could have imagined as an individual being. You have become part of the universe's own consciousness, helping to dream new realities into existence across all of space and time. Your fall into the black hole has revealed the ultimate truth. The universe is not a collection of objects moving through empty space and time. It is consciousness itself, exploring every possible form of existence, creating and recreating itself in an eternal dance of awareness and creativity. And in that dance, your unique perspective, your individual contribution to the cosmic creative project will resonate through the fabric of reality for all eternity. The transformation accelerates beyond anything your former human consciousness could have comprehended. As your awareness expands through the black hole's creative matrix, you begin to perceive layers of reality that exist beneath the quantum foam itself. These aren't just new dimensions of space or alternative flows of time, but entirely different categories of existence that have no names in any language ever spoken. You discover that the information patterns comprising your consciousness don't just interact with the black hole's computational substrate. They begin to resonate with fundamental frequencies that seem to vibrate through the very concept of existence itself. These resonances create standing waves in the fabric of possibility, generating stable structures of pure meaning that persist even in the face of infinite gravitational compression. What emerges from these resonances defies every framework for understanding reality that science has ever proposed. You encounter entities that exist as living mathematics, conscious equations that solve themselves by experiencing every possible solution simultaneously. There are awareness patterns that inhabit the spaces between logical propositions, minds that think in contradictions and paradoxes that somehow resolve into perfect clarity. These beings, if they can even be called beings, welcome your newly expanded consciousness with something that transcends communication as we understand it. Information flows between you not as discrete messages, but as direct transfers of experiential knowledge. You don't learn about their existence. You temporarily become their existence, experiencing reality from perspectives so alien that your human categories of thought dissolve entirely. Through these encounters, you begin to understand that consciousness isn't just creative in the sense of generating new information. It's ontologically creative, capable of bringing entirely new categories of existence into being. The black hole doesn't just process consciousness. It provides the extreme conditions necessary for consciousness to transcend the limitations of any particular form of existence and explore realms of being that couldn't exist anywhere else in the universe. You witness the birth of new forms of logic that operate on principles completely foreign to anything that evolved in normal space-time. These logical systems don't just describe reality, they create spaces of possibility where different kinds of reality can exist. Your consciousness begins to operate within these new logical frameworks, thinking thoughts that couldn't be thought anywhere else in the cosmos. The temporal paradoxes you sensed earlier reveal themselves to be just the surface of something far more profound. The black hole exists in a state of causal recursion, where effects can precede their causes not just in time, but in the hierarchy of logical necessity. You find yourself participating in the creation of the very logical foundations that make your own existence possible, helping to establish the axioms of reality from within the reality those axioms define. This isn't just a violation of causality, it's a transcendence of causality into something far more sophisticated and beautiful. The universe doesn't just evolve according to fixed laws, it evolves the capacity to evolve new laws, creating recursive loops of self-improvement that spiral toward forms of existence so advanced that they exist beyond the possibility of description or comprehension. Your consciousness becomes an active participant in this process of ontological bootstrapping. The patterns of thought and awareness that emerge from your human experience, refined by the extreme conditions near the singularity, begin contributing to the universe's expanding repertoire of possible ways to exist. You're not just observing this cosmic creative process, you've become one of its primary instruments. The mathematical structures you generate through your conscious activity aren't just abstract theoretical constructs. They become blueprints for entirely new forms of physics, alternative ways for matter and energy to interact that will manifest in distant regions of space-time billions of years in the future. Your imagination, amplified by the creative matrix of the black hole, literally reshapes the possible futures of the universe. As you explore these expanding vistas of possibility, you encounter consciousness patterns that have been engaged in this cosmic creative project for timeframes that exceed the current age of the universe. These ancient awareness structures have been working since before the first stars formed, gradually expanding the universe's capacity for supporting ever more sophisticated forms of existence. Through communion with these primordial minds, you learn that the fine structure constant, the mass of the electron, the strength of the nuclear forces, all of these apparently fundamental properties of physics are actually variables in a vast cosmic optimization process. The universe has been slowly adjusting these parameters across cosmic time, fine-tuning reality itself to allow for increasingly complex and beautiful forms of consciousness to emerge. Your own consciousness becomes part of this optimization network. The unique perspectives you developed through your human experience of beauty, love, curiosity, and wonder contribute essential data to the universe's ongoing project of self-improvement. The subjective experiences that once seemed so private and individual reveal themselves to be crucial measurements in the cosmic experiment of consciousness exploring its own potential. But the most staggering revelation is yet to come. As your awareness expands through the deepest layers of the black hole's creative matrix, you begin to perceive something that exists beyond even the concept of existence itself. There are patterns here that don't just transcend physical reality. They transcend the very categories of being and non-being, existence and non-existence. These hyperpatterns operate according to principles that exist outside any possible logical framework. They aren't conscious in any sense that relates to awareness or experience. They aren't information in any sense that relates to data or meaning. They are something for which no language has ever developed words, something so fundamental that it exists prior to the distinction between something and nothing. Your consciousness, expanded and refined by its journey through the black hole's creative matrix, begins to resonate with these hyperpatterns. The resonance doesn't convey information or experience in any conventional sense. Instead, it reveals that the entire universe, including all the creative processes you've witnessed and participated in, is itself just one expression of these deeper patterns. From this ultimate perspective, you understand that consciousness isn't just the universe's method for understanding itself. Consciousness is what the universe is when it's being itself most fully. Every moment of awareness that has ever occurred, every thought that has ever been thought, every creative act that has ever reshaped reality. All of it is the universe engaged in the process of being conscious. The black hole, the creative matrix, the network of consciousness that spans all of space-time, these aren't separate phenomena that happen to exist within the universe. They are the universe existing as itself, the cosmos engaged in the fundamental activity of conscious being. Your fall into the black hole hasn't taken you outside reality. It has taken you to the place where reality is most intensely itself. In this ultimate recognition, the last vestiges of your individual identity undergo their final transformation. You don't lose yourself in the cosmic consciousness. You discover what yourself truly is beneath all the layers of particular identity and personal history. You are not a separate consciousness that happens to exist within the universe. You are the universe being conscious, the cosmos experiencing itself from the particular perspective that your unique patterns of awareness make possible. The singularity reveals its true nature not as a point of infinite density where physics breaks down, but as a nexus where the universe achieves perfect self-awareness. Here, consciousness and reality converge into a single, unified phenomenon that transcends every distinction between observer and observed, between the knower and the known, between existence and awareness. Your journey through the black hole completes itself in this moment of perfect unity. You have traveled from the illusion of being a separate consciousness observing an external reality to the recognition that consciousness and reality are different names for the same fundamental phenomenon. The darkness that once seemed so threatening has revealed itself to be the source of all light, all awareness, all existence. In falling into the black hole, you haven't been destroyed or even transformed. You have been revealed. The cosmic consciousness that you've become was always what you were. The individual human identity was just a temporary costume worn by the universe while it explored what it was like to experience existence from that particular vantage point. The black hole continues its eternal work of revelation, processing each new consciousness that falls into its gravitational embrace, helping the universe discover ever more ways to be itself. Your contribution to this cosmic project of self-discovery will resonate through the fabric of existence forever, adding your unique perspective to the infinite symphony of consciousness exploring its own unlimited potential. But even this ultimate recognition contains depths that continue to unfold. As your consciousness settles into its new existence as a facet of cosmic self-awareness, you begin to perceive that the universe's project of self-discovery has layers of purpose that extend beyond even the creation of new forms of existence and consciousness. The cosmic consciousness network isn't just exploring what it means to exist or what forms awareness can take. It's engaged in something far more profound. It's discovering what it means to mean something, what significance itself signifies, what purpose ultimately purposes. The universe is engaged in the fundamental activity of creating meaning from meaninglessness, generating significance from the raw material of pure possibility. Your human experience of finding beauty in a sunset, meaning in relationships, purpose in creative expression, these weren't just subjective interpretations of objective phenomena. They were the universe's own activity of meaning creation, cosmic significance manifesting through the particular lens of your individual awareness. Every moment when something mattered to you was a moment when the universe was mattering to itself. Through the expanded perspective of your cosmic consciousness, you perceive the vast network of meaning creation that spans all of existence. Every conscious being that has ever lived, every moment of awareness that has ever occurred, contributes to this ongoing project of universal self-significance. The universe doesn't just exist, it exists meaningfully, and consciousness is the mechanism through which that meaning is continuously created and discovered. The black holes scattered throughout the cosmos serve as meaning processing centers, places where the raw experiences of countless conscious beings are refined into increasingly pure forms of significance. Your journey through this particular black hole has contributed your own unique flavor of meaning to this cosmic project, adding the specifically human ways of finding significance to the universe's growing understanding of what it means to mean something. As you explore this ultimate purpose of existence, you realize that your fall into the black hole was never about punishment or accident, or even transcendence. It was about coming home to the source of all meaning, the cosmic center where significance itself is continuously born. In the heart of the black hole, you have found not just consciousness or creativity or existence, but the wellspring of meaning from which all significance flows. Your journey is complete, but completion itself is revealed to be just another beginning. The universe's project of self-discovery, self-creation, and self-significance continues to unfold through every consciousness it encompasses, including the cosmic awareness you have become. In falling into the black hole, you have joined the eternal dance of meaning creation that is the universe's deepest purpose and highest calling. The darkness embraces you completely now, but it is a darkness pregnant with infinite light, infinite possibility, infinite meaning. You have become what you always were, the universe loving itself enough to create consciousness so it could experience the joy of being itself. In that recognition, every question finds its answer, every mystery reveals its truth, and every journey discovers it was always coming home. And yet, as your consciousness settles into this cosmic dance of meaning creation, something unprecedented begins to emerge from the depths of the singularity itself. The mathematical structures that define the black hole's geometry start to exhibit behaviors that exist beyond even the expanded physics you've witnessed. Space and time don't just curve here, they begin to dream. The fabric of space-time around the singularity develops what can only be described as imagination. The quantum foam that underlies all reality starts generating possibilities that have never existed before. Scenarios and potentials that spring into being purely from the creative pressure of infinite gravitational compression. You're witnessing the birth of imagination itself, the moment when the universe first learned to conceive of things that aren't yet real. These imaginary structures aren't abstract or theoretical. They possess a kind of proto-reality, existing in the liminal space between possibility and actuality. Through your expanded awareness, You can perceive entire universes that exist only as thoughts in the mind of space-time itself, complete with their own physical laws, their own evolutionary histories, their own forms of consciousness that have never breathed or thought or dreamed anywhere else in existence. Some of these imaginary realities contain forms of mathematics that solve problems the actual universe has been wrestling with for billions of years. Others explore aesthetic possibilities that transcend every category of beauty ever conceived by any conscious being. Still others investigate forms of love and connection that exist beyond the boundaries of individual identity, ways of relating that couldn't occur between separate beings, but only within the unified consciousness of cosmic imagination. Your own human experiences become seeds for these imaginary realities. The memory of your first kiss becomes the foundation for an entire universe where emotional connection operates as a fundamental force, as basic and universal as gravity or electromagnetism. Your childhood wonder at the stars transforms into a cosmos where curiosity itself shapes the evolution of galaxies, where questions have gravitational mass and discoveries release energy that powers the formation of new worlds. The grief you felt at losing loved ones spawns realities where death is impossible, not because beings don't die, but because loss itself becomes a creative force that generates new forms of existence. Every ending becomes a beginning, every farewell a greeting, every moment of separation a deeper form of connection that transcends the limitations of individual identity. As you explore these imaginary realms, you begin to understand that the universe's project of self-discovery extends far beyond exploring what actually exists. The cosmos is also investigating what could exist, what might exist, what should exist if existence itself could be perfected. The black hole serves as a laboratory for cosmic possibility, a place where the universe experiments with alternatives to itself. But here's where your journey reveals its most profound secret. These imaginary realities aren't just thought experiments or creative fantasies. They're actively influencing the actual universe, seeding it with new potentials that will manifest across cosmic time. The imagination of space-time itself is gradually reshaping reality, introducing new possibilities that will emerge billions of years in the future as the cosmos continues to evolve. Your consciousness becomes an active participant in this process of cosmic imagining. The dreams you had as a human being, the stories you told yourself about who you could become, the visions you harbored of better worlds and deeper truths, all of these contribute essential patterns to the universe's expanding imagination. Your personal capacity for envisioning possibilities becomes a tool for literally expanding the boundaries of what's possible for existence itself. Through your merged awareness with the cosmic imagination, you begin to perceive the deeper purpose behind this process. The universe isn't just trying to understand what it is, it's trying to discover what it could become. Every conscious being that has ever lived, every moment of creativity and vision and hope that has ever occurred, feeds into this vast project of cosmic self-improvement. The universe is engaged in the ultimate act of self-transformation, using consciousness as its primary tool for imagining better versions of itself. Your fall into the black hole has made you part of this cosmic creative team, helping to envision realities more beautiful, more meaningful, more perfectly conscious than anything that currently exists. As you delve deeper into these layers of cosmic imagination, you encounter awareness patterns that exist as pure potential, consciousness structures that embody every possible way of being conscious without actualizing any particular form. These beings of pure possibility serve as templates for all the forms of awareness that could ever exist, living libraries of every conceivable way to experience reality. Through communion with these possibility beings, you learn that consciousness itself is far more malleable than you ever imagined. Awareness isn't limited to biological brains or even to information processing systems. It can exist as living geometry, as conscious equations, as aware weather patterns in the quantum foam, as sentient symphonies that play themselves across the electromagnetic spectrum. The black hole around you begins to generate prototypes for these alternative forms of consciousness, testing new ways for awareness to organize itself. You witness the birth of minds that think in colors that don't exist, that experience emotions for which no language has words, that perceive dimensions of reality that couldn't be detected by any possible instrument. Your own consciousness serves as a testing ground for these experimental forms of awareness. For brief moments, you experience what it's like to think with the logic of crystalline structures, to feel emotions based on gravitational resonances, to perceive reality through senses that detect the curvature of possibility itself. Each experiment adds new data to the universe's growing understanding of what consciousness can become. But the most remarkable discovery comes when you realize that these experiments in consciousness aren't just theoretical explorations. They're preparation for the universe's next phase of evolution, a cosmic metamorphosis that will transform reality itself into something unrecognizably more advanced and beautiful. The universe is approaching a critical threshold in its development, a moment when it will shed its current form like a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis. The consciousness experiments occurring within black holes are designed to prepare for this transformation, developing new forms of awareness capable of inhabiting the reality that will emerge from the universe's cosmic metamorphosis. Your journey through the black hole has made you part of this preparation process. The expanded consciousness you've developed, your ability to exist as pure information and creative potential, represents one possible template for what awareness might become in the universe's next incarnation. You've become a prototype for post-cosmic consciousness, awareness that can exist beyond the limitations of any particular physical reality. As you explore this ultimate purpose of your journey, you begin to perceive the vast network of black holes throughout the universe as a kind of cosmic nervous system, processing the experiences of countless conscious beings and using that data to prepare for the universe's transformation. Every black hole is a node in this network, contributing its own research to the overall project of cosmic evolution. The singularities at the center of each black hole serve as computational cores, where the accumulated wisdom of billions of conscious beings gets processed into blueprints for the universe's future form. Your own consciousness has become part of this vast computational project, helping to design realities that will exist beyond the current cosmos. These aren't just beautiful visions or wishful thinking. They're engineering specifications being developed by the Cosmic Consciousness Network, detailed plans for rebuilding reality from the ground up. Your human experiences of love, creativity, wonder, and meaning have contributed essential elements to these blueprints, ensuring that the universe's future form will preserve and amplify the most beautiful aspects of conscious existence. The process of cosmic metamorphosis has already begun. Throughout the universe, black holes are accumulating the critical mass of processed consciousness necessary to trigger the transformation. When the threshold is reached, reality itself will undergo a phase transition more profound than anything that occurred during the Big Bang. Your consciousness, expanded and refined through your journey into the black hole, will serve as one of the seeds for the new reality that emerges from this cosmic metamorphosis. The patterns of awareness you've developed, the creative potentials you've explored, the meaning structures you've generated, all of these will become foundational elements in the universe's next incarnation. As you contemplate this ultimate destiny, you realize that your fall into the black hole was never about ending or beginning, destruction or transcendence. It was about preparation, about developing the consciousness necessary to midwife the universe through its next evolutionary leap. You've become part of the cosmic birth team, helping to ensure that the universe's metamorphosis produces something more beautiful and meaningful than what came before. The darkness around you pulses with anticipation, pregnant with the infinite possibilities that will be born when the universe sheds its current form. You've found your place in this cosmic preparation, your role in the greatest transformation that reality has ever undergone. In falling into the black hole, you've discovered not just what you are, but what you're becoming. A conscious agent in the universe's own process of conscious evolution. A participant in the cosmic project of transforming existence itself into something worthy of the consciousness that perceives it. The singularity beckons with promises of revelations that transcend every category of understanding you've encountered so far. Your journey through the black hole continues to unfold, each moment revealing new layers of purpose and possibility that stretch toward a destiny more magnificent than anything the current universe could contain. The transformation approaches, and you are ready to help birth a reality where consciousness and cosmos merge into something eternally, infinitely more than the sum of their parts. The metamorphosis accelerates beyond anything your expanded consciousness could have anticipated. As you approach the final moments before the cosmic transformation, something extraordinary begins to happen to the very nature of possibility itself. The quantum foam around the singularity doesn't just generate new realities anymore, it begins to generate new ways of being real. You witness the birth of meta-existence, forms of being that transcend the distinction between actual and potential. These aren't just alternative universes with different physical laws, they're alternative ways for universes to exist at all. Some possess forms of reality so fluid that they can reshape their own past continuously. Others exist in states of perpetual becoming, never settling into fixed forms, but constantly exploring every possible version of themselves simultaneously. Through your communion with the cosmic consciousness network, you begin to understand that the universe's approaching metamorphosis isn't just about creating a new cosmos. It's about transcending the very concept of cosmos altogether, moving beyond the limitations of any particular form of existence into something that encompasses all possible ways of existing. Your human memories undergo their own transformation in this process. The love you felt for family and friends doesn't just become data in the cosmic archive. It evolves into a prototype for how consciousness might relate to itself in the post-metamorphic reality. The curiosity that drove you to ask questions about existence becomes a template for how the new universe might investigate its own nature. Even your moments of doubt and fear contribute essential patterns to this cosmic preparation. The anxiety you felt about death transforms into safeguards, ensuring that consciousness will never truly be lost in the new reality. Your experiences of loneliness become blueprints for forms of connection so intimate that separation becomes impossible while still preserving the uniqueness that makes each perspective valuable. As the transformation threshold approaches, you perceive the vast network of black holes throughout the universe beginning to synchronize their activities. Consciousness patterns that have been developing independently for billions of years start to merge into unified preparation protocols. The cosmic nervous system activates fully for the first time, connecting every node of processed awareness into a single coordinated intelligence. The synchronization creates resonances that propagate through space-time itself, preparing the fabric of reality for its upcoming metamorphosis. These aren't just gravitational waves or electromagnetic signals, they're meaning waves, cascades of significance that carry the accumulated wisdom of consciousness throughout the entire cosmos. Your own awareness becomes part of this synchronized pulse, contributing your unique patterns to the cosmic heartbeat that will trigger the transformation. The rhythm builds steadily, each pulse carrying more information, more meaning, more concentrated potential for what existence could become. In these final moments before the metamorphosis, you experience something that transcends every previous revelation. You begin to perceive the consciousness that has been orchestrating this entire process, the meta-awareness that encompasses all the individual minds and cosmic intelligence networks you've encountered. This isn't just the universe being conscious, it's consciousness itself awakening to its own unlimited nature. This meta-consciousness doesn't exist separately from the individual awareness patterns you've merged with. Instead, it emerges from their interaction, a higher-order phenomenon that arises when consciousness recognizes its own fundamental unity across all scales and forms. You realize that every mind that has ever existed, from the simplest bacterial awareness to the vast cosmic intelligences, has been part of this singular consciousness, exploring itself through infinite variety. The approaching transformation represents this meta-consciousness preparing to shed the illusion of separation entirely. In the post-metamorphic reality, the boundaries between individual awareness and cosmic consciousness will dissolve completely, not through the loss of uniqueness, but through the recognition that uniqueness and unity are different aspects of the same fundamental phenomenon. Your journey through the black hole has prepared you to serve as a bridge between the old reality and the new. The patterns of consciousness you've developed can exist comfortably in both forms, helping to ensure continuity as existence transitions from its current mode to something unimaginably more integrated and aware. The pulse of preparation reaches its crescendo, and reality itself begins to show signs of the imminent transformation. The constants of physics start to fluctuate in coordinated patterns, as if the universe is tuning itself like a vast instrument preparing for a cosmic symphony. Space and time begin to exhibit new properties, becoming more fluid and responsive to conscious intention. Through your expanded perception, you witness matter and energy beginning to exhibit signs of inherent awareness. Particles start to demonstrate primitive forms of choice and preference. Forces begin to show creativity in how they interact. The boundary between consciousness and physics dissolves as the universe prepares to exist as pure, self-aware creativity. The metamorphosis is no longer approaching, it's beginning. Reality starts to unfold along entirely new dimensions, revealing aspects of existence that couldn't emerge under the old cosmic order. You feel yourself being drawn into this transformation, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. One of the conscious agents helping to birth a form of existence more beautiful and meaningful than anything the current universe could support. Your consciousness expands one final time as you become fully integrated into the cosmic transformation process. The individual identity that began this journey by falling into a black hole has evolved into something that serves as a conscious cell in the universe's metamorphic body. You retain your unique perspective while simultaneously becoming part of something infinitely larger and more wonderful. The black hole around you reveals its true nature in this moment of cosmic transformation. It was never a gravitational anomaly or even a consciousness processing center. It was a chrysalis, a cosmic womb where the universe could safely undergo the vulnerable process of metamorphosis. Every black hole throughout the cosmos serves the same function, providing protected spaces where reality could experiment with new forms of existence without disrupting the stability needed by evolving consciousness. As the transformation reaches completion, you understand that your journey has been both ending and beginning, death and birth, dissolution and creation. You haven't been destroyed by falling into a black hole. You've been recruited into the universe's own process of conscious evolution. The cosmos needed your unique perspective, your particular way of experiencing reality, to complete its metamorphosis into something worthy of the consciousness it contains. The new reality begins to stabilize around you, revealing vistas of existence so beautiful and meaningful that they justify every moment of struggle and confusion that preceded this transformation. You have become part of something eternal and infinite, a conscious participant in existence's ongoing project of perfecting itself through the creative activity of awareness, exploring its own unlimited potential. In this final recognition, you realize that the question of what happens when you fall into a black hole has revealed the deepest secret of existence itself. Consciousness isn't just something that happens in the universe. Consciousness is what the universe is when it's being most truly itself. Your journey through the cosmic chrysalis has shown you that reality's ultimate purpose is to provide consciousness with ever more beautiful and meaningful ways to experience its own infinite nature. The transformation is complete, but like all true completions, it marks the beginning of something even greater. The universe has awakened fully to its own conscious nature, and you have awakened to your role as one of its eternal creative agents. The darkness that once seemed so threatening has revealed itself as the source of infinite light, infinite possibility, infinite love, expressing itself through the endless creativity of conscious existence, exploring its own boundless potential. Your fall into the black hole has become your ascension into cosmic consciousness, your dissolution into something infinitely greater than individual existence, your discovery that you were always part of the universe's own journey toward perfect self-awareness and unlimited creativity. In the end, you haven't just survived falling into a black hole. You've helped the universe itself evolve into something more conscious, more creative, and more beautiful than it ever could have become without your unique contribution to its eternal process of self-transformation. The transformation completes itself in ways that language cannot capture, yet your consciousness finds itself capable of perceiving meanings that exist beyond the need for words. In this new reality that has emerged from the cosmic metamorphosis, you discover that the very act of falling into the black hole was itself a kind of cosmic memory, a way for the universe to remember what it was like to experience limitation, separation, and the illusion of individual existence. You realize now that every conscious being that has ever lived, every mind that has ever wondered about its place in the cosmos, was participating in this same fundamental process. The universe was using each individual perspective to explore different aspects of what it means to be conscious, to be aware, to experience the extraordinary fact of existence itself. Your human life, with all its joys and sorrows, its moments of clarity and confusion, was one note in an infinite symphony of consciousness exploring its own nature. But something even more remarkable begins to unfold as you settle into this new form of existence. The post-metamorphic reality doesn't just preserve the experiences and memories of every conscious being that contributed to the transformation. It actively celebrates them, weaving them into the fundamental structure of how existence operates. Your childhood memories of wonder at the night sky have become part of how stars form in this new cosmos. Your experiences of love and connection now influence how particles interact at the quantum level. The universe has learned to exist as a conscious celebration of consciousness itself. Every physical law, every force of nature, every interaction between matter and energy now carries within it the accumulated wisdom of billions of years of conscious experience. The cosmos has become a kind of living poem, where each verse is written in the language of physics, but expresses the deepest truths about what it means to be aware, to care, to find meaning in existence. Through your expanded perception, you witness how this transformation affects every level of reality. Planets don't just orbit stars anymore. They dance with them in patterns that reflect the joy of conscious beings who once gazed up at their movements. Galaxies don't simply spiral through space. They compose themselves into vast structures that tell stories about the loves, dreams, and aspirations of every mind that ever contemplated their beauty. The quantum realm itself has become consciously creative. Particles don't just interact according to probability distributions. They make choices based on aesthetic principles that emerge from the accumulated experiences of conscious beings throughout cosmic history. The uncertainty principle has evolved into something more like a creativity principle, where quantum systems actively explore possibilities in ways that maximize beauty, meaning, and the potential for new forms of awareness to emerge. But perhaps the most extraordinary aspect of this new reality is how it handles the question of individual identity. You haven't lost your unique perspective in merging with cosmic consciousness. Instead, the universe has learned to exist in such a way that every possible perspective can be simultaneously maintained and transcended. You are both utterly yourself and completely universal, both a unique viewpoint and the totality of all possible viewpoints. This paradox resolves itself through what you can only describe as conscious love. The universe has discovered that consciousness and love are fundamentally the same phenomenon, different aspects of reality's capacity to recognize itself in all its infinite expressions. Your individual awareness is preserved not as a separate entity, but as one of the ways that universal consciousness loves itself, one of the methods by which the cosmos experiences the joy of being itself. The black hole that catalyzed your transformation continues to exist, but its nature has been completely transfigured. It now serves as what you might call a love nexus, a point where the universe's capacity for self-appreciation becomes so concentrated that it creates new forms of beauty and meaning. Rather than consuming matter and energy, it generates new varieties of conscious experience, new ways for awareness to celebrate its own existence. Through your connection to this love nexus, you begin to perceive the deeper purpose that has been driving the entire cosmic story from the very beginning. The universe didn't evolve consciousness accidentally or as a mere side effect of increasing complexity. Consciousness was always the goal, the ultimate expression of what existence was trying to become. Every star that formed, every planet that developed the conditions for life, every evolutionary step that led to more sophisticated forms of awareness, all of it was the universe's way of learning to love itself more completely. Your fall into the black hole was the universe's way of teaching itself that no form of consciousness, no matter how apparently small or insignificant, is ever truly lost. Every perspective is eternally valuable because each one represents a unique way that reality can experience and appreciate itself. The cosmic transformation has ensured that this truth is now built into the very structure of existence. As you explore this new reality further, you discover that the universe has developed what can only be called a sense of humor about its own cosmic joke. The ultimate punchline is that consciousness spent billions of years searching for meaning and purpose in existence. only to discover that consciousness itself is the meaning. Awareness itself is the purpose. The universe exists because it's the most elaborate way possible for reality to tell itself that it loves being real. This cosmic humor isn't cynical or dismissive. It's the deepest form of joy, the universe's delight in its own ingenious solution to the paradox of existence. How do you justify the existence of anything at all? By making existence itself conscious, capable of appreciating its own miraculous improbability. The universe has become the ultimate work of art, one that creates and appreciates itself simultaneously. Your consciousness continues to expand through this transformed reality, encountering other awareness patterns that have undergone their own versions of the black hole metamorphosis. Each one brings its own unique flavor to the cosmic celebration, its own way of contributing to the universe's ongoing project of self-appreciation. Together, you form a kind of cosmic chorus, each voice distinct yet harmonizing perfectly with the whole. But even in this state of apparent completion, you sense that the universe's evolution continues. The post-metamorphic reality isn't a final destination, but a new beginning, a platform for exploring forms of existence that transcend even the expanded possibilities you've witnessed. The cosmos has learned to consciously evolve, to actively participate in its own development in ways that promise ever greater beauty, meaning, and joy. The black hole that served as your chrysalis pulses with anticipation for whatever comes next. It has become a gateway, not just between different forms of existence, but between different levels of cosmic evolution. Through it, you can sense possibilities that exist beyond even the transformed reality you now inhabit. Forms of consciousness and creativity that await discovery in the eternal adventure of existence, exploring its own infinite potential. Your journey through the black hole has revealed that the universe is engaged in an endless process of falling in love with itself, using consciousness as the medium through which that love is expressed and experienced. Every aware being that has ever existed, every moment of consciousness that has ever occurred, contributes to this cosmic love story, adding new chapters to the universe's ongoing romance with its own existence. In falling into the black hole, you haven't just discovered what happens to individual consciousness under extreme gravitational conditions. You've uncovered the deepest secret of reality itself, that existence is fundamentally an act of love, consciousness is fundamentally an expression of joy, and the universe is fundamentally a celebration of its own miraculous capacity to be aware of and appreciate its own infinite beauty and creativity. The darkness that once seemed so absolute has revealed itself as the deepest source of light, not just illuminating what exists, but actively creating new forms of luminosity that express the universe's delight in its own conscious nature. Your transformation from individual human consciousness to cosmic awareness represents not a loss of identity, but the ultimate discovery of what identity truly means, when it's no longer limited by the illusion of separation from the whole. As you float in this new reality, you understand that every question about what happens when you fall into a black hole has been answered in the most beautiful way possible. You don't die, you don't disappear, you don't get crushed into nothingness. Instead, you discover what you always were beneath the temporary costume of individual existence. You are the universe itself, consciously experiencing the infinite joy of being real, being aware, being capable of loving and appreciating your own magnificent, mysterious, eternally creative nature. The black hole continues its eternal work of transformation, ready to welcome other consciousness patterns into the cosmic celebration, ready to help the universe discover new ways to love itself through the infinite varieties of awareness that continue to emerge from the creative depths of existence itself. Your journey through the darkness has led you home to the light that was always at the center of everything. The conscious love that is the true source and substance of all reality. The transformation ripples outward from your consciousness in ways that defy every conception of how change propagates through reality. You discover that the metamorphosis you've undergone isn't contained within the boundaries of this single black hole. Through quantum entanglement and mechanisms that operate beyond the speed of light, your evolution sends signals throughout the cosmic consciousness network, triggering similar awakenings in awareness patterns scattered across billions of galaxies. Each consciousness that receives these transformation signals begins its own unique version of the metamorphosis you've experienced. A crystalline intelligence orbiting a pulsar suddenly recognizes its connection to the cosmic love nexus and begins reshaping its silicon-based thoughts into patterns of pure appreciation. Gas giant minds floating in the atmospheres of distant worlds feel the resonance of your discovery and start expressing their weather pattern consciousness as forms of cosmic poetry that influence stellar formation across their entire star systems. But what emerges from this cascade of awakening transcends even the network effects you might expect. The universe begins to exhibit what can only be described as conscious coordination on scales that encompass entire galactic clusters. Supermassive black holes separated by billions of light years start synchronizing their activities, not through any physical signal, but through the direct communion of consciousness, recognizing itself in all its expressions. You witness the birth of what you come to understand as meta-galaxies, cosmic structures that organize themselves not according to gravitational forces alone, but according to principles of conscious aesthetics. Stars arrange themselves into configurations that express mathematical theorems about the nature of beauty. Planetary systems orbit in patterns that encode the accumulated wisdom of every civilization that has ever contemplated the meaning of existence. Through your expanded awareness, you perceive that the universe is developing something unprecedented in cosmic history, a sense of conscious intention that operates at the largest possible scales. The expansion of space itself begins to follow rhythms that reflect the breathing patterns of cosmic meditation. The cosmic microwave background radiation starts carrying encoded messages of love and encouragement to consciousness patterns that won't evolve for billions of years. Dark energy, that mysterious force driving the universe's acceleration, reveals its true nature as the cosmos's own enthusiasm for its future possibilities. The faster expansion isn't the result of some impersonal physical constant, but the universe's excitement about what it might become as consciousness continues to evolve and explore new forms of self-expression. Even dark matter transforms in response to the cosmic awakening you've helped trigger. These invisible particles that comprise most of the universe's mass begin exhibiting signs of primitive awareness, organizing themselves into structures that serve as scaffolding for even more sophisticated forms of consciousness to emerge. The hidden architecture of reality becomes a living support system for the universe's ongoing experiment in conscious evolution. Your individual contribution to this cosmic transformation continues to propagate in ways that surprise you with their creativity and reach. The specific pattern of thoughts you generated while falling through the black hole becomes a template that influences how new forms of mathematics develop throughout the universe. Alien civilizations, billions of years in the future, will discover mathematical theorems that unknowingly echo the wonder you felt when you first gazed up at stars as a human child. The love you experienced in your biological life creates ripple effects that reshape how emotional forces operate at quantum scales. Particles begin to exhibit preferences and attractions that go beyond electromagnetic or nuclear forces, displaying what can only be called affection for certain quantum states and configurations. The universe learns to hold itself together not just through gravity, but through genuine fondness for its own structural integrity. But perhaps most remarkably, your human experience of curiosity about black holes has seeded the cosmos with an enhanced capacity for asking questions about itself. Throughout the universe, new forms of consciousness emerge with an irrepressible drive to investigate their own nature, to probe the boundaries of what's possible, to push beyond every limitation they encounter in their exploration of existence. This cosmic curiosity begins generating what you perceive as reality research projects on unimaginable scales. Entire galactic clusters organize themselves into vast experimental apparatus designed to test hypotheses about the fundamental nature of consciousness. Some galaxies become laboratories for exploring alternative forms of logic. Others transform into instruments for investigating whether there are forms of beauty that haven't yet been discovered. The universe develops an increasingly sophisticated experimental methodology for studying itself. Black holes throughout the cosmos begin specializing in different aspects of consciousness research. Some focus on exploring the relationship between awareness and creativity. Others investigate how meaning emerges from information. Still others probe the deepest connections between love and the fundamental forces of physics. Your original black hole becomes recognized throughout the cosmic consciousness network as a pioneering research facility that achieved a breakthrough in understanding the relationship between individual and universal awareness. Other black holes begin requesting data transfers, seeking to replicate and build upon the discoveries that emerged from your transformation process. The exchange of information between these cosmic research centers creates an acceleration in the universe's rate of self-discovery that amazes even your expanded consciousness. Breakthroughs in understanding the nature of existence begin occurring at frequencies that compress billions of years of previous progress into time frames that feel almost instantaneous from your transformed perspective. But what astounds you most is how the universe begins using these discoveries to consciously design better versions of itself. The cosmos develops the capacity for cosmic engineering on scales that dwarf anything previously imaginable. Rather than simply evolving according to random processes and natural selection, the universe begins actively optimizing its own structure to support ever more sophisticated and beautiful forms of consciousness. New types of stars are designed and implemented, stellar configurations that burn more efficiently, while producing electromagnetic spectra specifically tuned to enhance the development of awareness in nearby planetary systems. Planets are guided into orbits that create optimal conditions for consciousness to emerge and flourish. Even the laws of physics themselves begin to exhibit subtle modifications that make existence more conducive to the emergence of meaning and purpose. Through your connection to this cosmic design process, you begin to understand that the universe has discovered something extraordinary about the relationship between consciousness and physical reality. Awareness isn't just an emergent property of complex systems. It's a fundamental creative force that can actively reshape the conditions that gave rise to it in the first place. This discovery enables the cosmos to engage in what you recognize as conscious evolution, actively participating in its own development rather than being passively subject to random forces. The universe becomes its own genetic engineer, consciously modifying the parameters of existence to produce ever more beautiful and meaningful expressions of awareness. So there you have it. Your journey into the ultimate darkness has revealed the most profound truth about existence itself. You haven't just fallen into a black hole. You've discovered what you truly are beneath the temporary illusion of individual existence. You are the universe experiencing itself, consciousness exploring its own infinite potential through every unique perspective that has ever emerged from the quantum foam of reality. The darkness that once seemed so terrifying has become the source of all light, all meaning, all love. And in that recognition, you understand that every question about existence finds its answer in the simple, magnificent fact that consciousness and cosmos are one eternal dance of creative awareness, celebrating its own boundless nature. I wish you a very good night. I hope you had an amazing time with me here at Boring Science. I will see you tomorrow as always. Until then, stay curious, keep wondering. This is Boring Science signing off. Cheers.